Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Mwah. Just out here for a little hike. It's gorgeous. All the aspens are turning golden out here. You can kind of see what's going on. Pretty. We were just kind of talking and talking to some friends. You guys all see the numbers out there. It's like, why aren't people going back to work? Karen and I just drove around the country, well, from Colorado out to the East Coast, to a few states out there and back, and there's help wanted ads everywhere. Not just a little sign you put up in your window, or you put an ad in the paper for a day. I'm talking about billboards, like permanent billboards, permanent, like, up for months, on the side of buildings and on billboards on the highway.
Yeah, and you can't go past a building without seeing, at least one, if not several, help wanted, past a restaurant, help wanted, past a retail outlet, help wanted. We go by and we say, oh, what do you know? Help wanted.
That's our joke. We say, oh, that's amazing. Like they're hiring over there, Karen.
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's just kind of funny because it's everywhere. Right. But, the question is, why aren't people going back to work? We have friends in business that can't get employees. They can't hire them, especially in the restaurant business. Yes. I met with a friend recently. He said they were kind of battling back and forth over employees with other competing restaurants, just each trying to outbid the other, but because there's a lack of employees. But is it because people have just decided they want to work from home, which I think that might be a big chunk of it? I'm kind of interested. I'm asking the question. What else do you think, Karen?
I think it's a multitude of things. I think people have gotten a taste of freedom, whereas when you were in the 9 to 5 or whatever your hours were, there's a feeling of a lack of freedom because you're under someone else's time schedule, right?
Right.
You get paid based on, the time that they want you to be there and the schedule that they've presented to you. And this, this unprecedented times has allowed people who have never before experienced freedom. And maybe it's a beautiful day and you want to take a walk, but you weren't able to do that for the past 2 years, 5 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, however long you've worked. And all of a sudden you can, and that feels really great. I think that's one big thing.
I think that's a big chunk. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And I think people have realized also that maybe they can get by with a lot less. Again, during these unprecedented times, we didn't need to get dressed up or wear anything specific for work. So as far as spending money, we really spent a lot less. We weren't going out to eat. Some people still aren't. We're barely going out to eat, if at all. So our spend, I know, is so much less, right?
Well, I think so, yeah. But you just have to just chime in because you reminded me yesterday I went to our storage unit, and when you say, you don't have to get dressed up anymore, I gave away, I think it was 14 suits or more and 20-something shirts. And by the way, it would have been more, but the place where you drop off clothes, they're not accepting. They weren't accepting anything until Wednesday, but we're going on the road. They made an exception to take 2 bags.
And the reason being that they're not accepting more than that is they do not have help to unload the bags.
Back to the topic here, right? Yeah.
Back to the topic. So, I think, again, there's, that was one big reason I think people have gotten a taste of freedom. And hey, who doesn't love freedom?
Oh, it's great.
I think there's also a situation where some businesses are, mandating certain circumstances in order for people to come back to work, and people don't want to be mandated and told what to do and what to put into their bodies. And
that's certainly a piece of it too.
Right, I think that's another piece. I think that a lot of people were able to collect unemployment and still can. And I think again it goes back to they're saving more money so they don't need to make as much money. So maybe the unemployment is enough for some people, right?
Exactly.
So I think there's so many reasons. I'd love to hear,
Well, I'd like to hear comments, but the thing
I'm
is,
sure some of the people listening are in this situation.
Well, they could be, and we know people in this situation.
We know someone who just turned down a phenomenal job. He just
like to hear your thoughts. So We talk about like every day Saturday. We have a lot of freedom of what we do with our
do.
consulting, and I wanted to touch on that too because we're helping a lot of people build residual income, and they don't have to go back and work under a schedule. And Karen and I just made the joke again today. We're going out to hike and want to do something tomorrow, and we always say every day Saturday. Now we do work every day, but we do it on our own schedule, and there's a lot of freedom.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are trying to find that freedom or keep that freedom. To your point, they got a taste of it and they want to keep it. So I do think that's a good chunk of this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are interested, by the way, we'd love to talk to you about what we're doing at OTG, and we're really helping people build residual income and showing them how to have a great life and not have to go punch the time clock. So
Right.
that's available to
There's
you.
nothing wrong with that either. If some people really like that routine, and a lot of people that are still working from home because their offices haven't opened up, they can't wait to get back into that
Right,
routine.
yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. For us, we have been there, and for the past several years, we've been working from work from anywhere, and we love that. We love the freedom. And the other thing is, sometimes Jeffrey and I get so absorbed in working on certain days, even if we don't have to, because we enjoy it so much. And I think
That's key.
really, really important, is that I think a lot of people are seeking out to do something they enjoy. And I don't want to minimize any job, because I know people that love coffee, and for them, working at Starbucks and learning about coffee and learning how to be a barista. In other countries, you go to college to be a barista, and it's a very exemplary position. So I think whatever, flipping burgers at McDonald's, maybe you want to do that because one day you want to own your own food chain or franchise, and you want to learn about it.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, everybody's got
You have
different
to have a
likes,
passion,
right? Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of people during this time realize that, hey, I'm doing something I didn't really like, and I'm not going back to that. I want to do something I love. And we are so fortunate, because we were doing something we loved before, which we're still doing. And, we do have freedom to do a hike, or go skiing, or, swim in the ocean, or, travel to Costa Rica any day of the week of the year. We're on our own schedule, and we can bring our work with us if we want to.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear from everybody what your thoughts are on this. So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the mountain at Copper Mountain.
Yeah, and I don't know if you hear the helicopter blasting over. I was going to try to get a picture of it. Got
So
a
beautiful.
video. But they're taking materials up the mountain because they're working on a restaurant, kind of a landing pad up there to kind of get out of the cold. So it's going to be a new base station up there.
Solitude Station.
Yeah, Solitude Station. I think you're right. But anyway, thanks for listening in.